Welcome to the Proactive Adventure Health and Wellness Podcast, Episode 1. I'm here today with Brittany, Mel, longtime Proactive members, and our interview subject for the night, Vanessa Vaglio. I mistakenly said in the last episode that Vanessa was with us since January 2018. I have to say that was erroneous. She's been with us since January 2019. She's been a fixture of our more difficult hikes over the past 2 years. When she originally came out, she started doing easy and moderate hikes with us. And now she's running the Breakneck Marathon this Saturday, May 6th. Thanks for being here, Vanessa.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
So the reason that I thought you'd be a good subject to talk to first is because you weren't there as early as Brittany was. And you came in a little before Mel got there. And over the course of that whole time, I think everybody's seen you kind of progress almost more than anybody else in this group. And I feel like you, most of all, even more so than myself, I'd say sometimes, encompass like the true spirit of what I wanted Proactive to be. So it's cool to have you here, especially on the precipice of a big event like the Breakneck Marathon.
Yeah, I mean, Proactive has been part of my journey that's helped me grow from where I was in 2019 to being here 4 days, 3 days, however many days out from this event. So thank you as well for providing those opportunities for growth and pushing myself and encouraging me along the way.
You're welcome. No, it's been such a cool experience though to see you go from like I just remember there was a time where I didn't think you wanted anything to do with the hard hikes, and then just one day you like flipped a switch.
You're right. I remember like looking at the website and being like, hard, nope, like not even reading what it's about, where it is, just like saw the word hard and nope, not for me.
Yeah.
Easy, there we go. 2 miles, 700 feet of gain, starting at 9 a.m., done.
Nice and easy. As a child, or when you were younger, did you ever imagine you'd be running a marathon? Especially one as difficult as the Breakneck Marathon?
I don't know, to be honest. I feel like everyone, as a younger kid, says like, oh, one day I might run a marathon, but like never with a idea. Like I feel like it's been a bucket list thing, thinking, yeah, I'll do that one day in the future, and it's like a one and done kind of thing. Never would I have thought it'd be a trail marathon, if anything. I didn't even know those existed as a kid.
I feel like a lot of people don't know they exist.
It's true.
I mean,
Yeah, so it's like yes and no. I thought it'd be like this cool bucket list thing. Like I thought people do it at some point in their lives, which not many people actually do. The statistic is like super small, but no, but also yeah.
That was actually much more than the no deadpan response I thought I might get.
Well, like I'm also, this is a date I don't think you have, but August 20th, 2020, my 30th birthday was the first time I ever ran 13 miles, and I remember prepping for the half marathon. Like I was on my own. My birthday's in the summer. I'm off work. I think it was just a weekday, Wednesday, Thursday, whatever. And I said I was going to go run a half marathon on my birthday, my 30th birthday. So that was only 3.5 years ago. So I didn't even think I'd ever do that. And it took me to 30 to get to a half marathon.
I don't have that date on here. I have some other dates that I trolled your Strava for. I keep saying it's like if an actor was there, you'd look at their IMDb. So
Exactly.
It's like, if you're here, I'm going to look at your Strava. What was your first memory of hiking? Because I remember when we were on the Suffering Bear Mountain Trail, you were talking about that you went out with your father on the trails, right?
So my dad definitely grew up a hiker. I've actually found out like later on, like more recently in life, like he chose our house based on its location to Harriman and hiking and things like that. But the earliest I remember is in my own backyard. So my house actually, where I grew up, my parents' house, backs up to the Minnesiongo Creek, which runs up through Harriman. And my house is right behind the Garnerville Reservoir. So there's a dam there, which water flows over. So as a kid, I'm like, the waterfall in my backyard. Like,
Yeah.
it's not a waterfall. I don't think it's that cool. But we used to go hiking down there. And again, hiking, it means like social trails. My dad would carry the canoe down to the reservoir, just like literally carry it up over his head. We'd walk down there. My brother and his friends would play like paintball down there. So eventually there became trails. And we had a fenced in backyard. There was a gate. We would just literally go down there.
That sounds awesome.
And walk around. So, been doing that since I was like a kid. I grew up in a great neighborhood where there was kids my age, and that's what we did for fun. We went down back.
And so then what was your official, like, first memory of actual hiking?
Probably something with my dad. Like, again, he grew up hiking.
Would that be like following marked trails?
Yeah,
what you would consider hiking?
Yeah, my dad still gives me maps that he finds now. So I have a Harriman map from, I think, 1986, one from like 1993. Surprisingly still accurate too.
Nice.
But that's what he used to do. So he would take me and my brother out hiking throughout like Harriman, smaller trails, not big climbs, to the lakes and things like that.
Your father wasn't forcing you to go up the mountain 10 times in a day? No? That didn't happen?
No pop tents.
And so you were hiking before you joined Proactive or registered for a Proactive hike. What made you decide to look for a hiking group?
Ooh, I want to know this.
Maybe not even just looking for Proactive, but looking for a hiking group.
Yeah, so I definitely hiked with my family. Then you get older, you don't want to hang out with them as much. I hiked with, it was actually my boyfriend of the time. We dated for like 2.5, 3 years. But he was the planner of the hiking. So he knew how to read the trail map, he knew how to find parking for it and do all of it. So I went hiking with him, but I did none of the work other than getting up and down the mountain and following him.
Mm-hmm.
We broke up. I still wanted that part of hiking in my life, but I didn't know how to go about it on my own. So I came across Proactive, actually on Instagram, following the Proactive page, and then like you start to learn to tag people. I'm like, okay, these people are always showing up. Let me follow them, make sure they're not murderers or creepy people.
That's always a good thing to look
Great,
into.
I never thought about that. I just had to cross my fingers.
Of course you did.
I followed it for about
Smart.
3 months at least.
Wow.
I think I remember you posting about the October creepy hikes.
Yes.
And I was like,
Doodle down.
they're putting the word creepy in it, like. So I did not go. And I think I followed for a while. I was looking for people, going to their Instagram, making sure they didn't die. They kept posting pictures. They lived to tell the tale. And then I decided to come out in January. But I needed people that knew what they were doing and could read trail maps and guide me through the mountains, because I will tell you, those first few hikes, like, you could have led me off a cliff and I would have followed.
And so, we're not murderers. You find out
I can confirm
we're not
I have not been murdered.
Brittany's been alive for like a couple
Yeah, but
months.
who's gonna take me out?
So you know we're not murderers. So you start hiking with us. Your first hike, January 26, 2019, Mount Beacon. Have you ever been to Beacon before that?
No,
No, so that was your first time at Beacon.
that was my first time. So I had no idea what I was getting myself into with Beacon.
Uh-huh.
And if you're listening and you know Beacon, you know that first climb is hard. Let alone doing it in January. So I also didn't have the sense to think it snowed, but they cleared the roads, but there's still snow on the mountains. Like,
Yep.
I probably need traction for that. That was never a thought I had.
So Mount Beacon was your first hike with us. What were your first impressions when you saw the group that was there?
I feel like it was a pretty big group that day. Like, I honestly don't know what I was anticipating going into it, to be honest. I feel like I was expecting the 3 of you that were like running it at the time, because that seemed consistent based on the documentation, looking for those 3 people, and just like, okay.
3 living people.
Yeah.
Only once return.
And then I think at some point too, you were like, does everyone have spikes? Or like, does anyone have spikes? And I was like, shit. But then I also saw no one else did too, so I was like, must not be necessary or a big deal, or what is a spike, or
What-
why is he
what are
asking this
spikes?
question?
At that time, it was
Like
definitely,
spikes.
does anybody have spikes? Because at that point, nobody ever brought the spikes with them.
Yeah.
You remember that? We had like one pair and we were throwing one of the spikes across.
Yeah.
You had a JanSport
I mean,
backpack, too.
Oh yes, I had like a jacket not for hiking. I had my mom's hiking boots for winter. I had like a school backpack that had a spot for a laptop in it.
That's what you need.
I don't even know how much like
It's true, though.
digressing, but I remember having a conversation recently, like, I remember packing so much water, like my Nalgene's like full of water, bringing like a full-on sandwich, and now I'm thinking ahead to the marathon, I'm bringing like 2 16-ounce things of water and like 4 gels and some salt tabs, and it's just funny to see how we used to pack and bring a full backpack that was like 10 pounds, like of what? I don't even know. And now I'm like, how can I make this lighter? How much water can I survive off of to make everything lighter?
How'd you feel after that first 5.5 miles and 1,500 feet on Mount Beacon?
Honestly, I felt good. I don't think we were moving super fast because of the conditions at the time, so it wasn't that bad. I would say it was probably one of my harder ones to that point. Again, I did not do the research on what I was getting myself into other than what you posted. Like, I knew the mileage, I knew I've done 5 miles before in different weather or a different season. So I was like, oh yeah, sure, I could do that. I don't even think I knew what vert was or like could fathom what 1,500 feet was at that point either. So like that was just interesting fact. I could do 5 miles. Let me show up.
I think we considered that one an easy one, too. Anyway, then you were there the rest of 2018, 2019, the moderate or easy hikes. The one time you said you were making brownies, and I thought you were full of shit.
See, I used to pack ridiculous things in my backpack.
Yeah, but you would bring the best snacks though. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I remember she would like freshly baked stuff.
Mhm.
In a group that no one brought snacks or whatever.
No
so-
one.
It was
I would always
perfect.
forget
Just
or
what we
I'd bring
needed.
snacks and forget to eat them, and then she'd just pull out this container. I'm like, ooh, what's that?
Right?
Energy balls. and
Yeah.
I remember that first time she said she made brownies, and I laughed it off at the beginning, and then you wound up going like 6 miles into the hike or something like that before you mentioned them again, and then you pulled out this giant, like I think it was glass Tupperware of what, like 40
Breaking all the
brownies.
leave no trace rules. My bad.
I believe it was July 19th, 2019. It was Mel's first hike,
Oh yeah.
Ramapo Torn. You were there. I remember we were on some climb that I did not find that difficult at the time. And we were with a relatively strong group for that time. And I think you looked at me at one point, you turned around, and you looked a little mad, and you were just like, you said this was easy. I think it was the quote. Something along those lines. Do you remember that?
I do. And like I feel like we need to actually go back and do that to see that climb, because like I'm picturing like right on the screen right now there's this giant mountain. Like I'm picturing that when I said that. And I know if we go there it's gonna be like a mound, probably the 100 feet that it took to get up to this apartment.
Yep.
I mean, I remember that incline because it was, we were at a certain elevation, and all of a sudden there was this huge, well, looked at from where we were, this huge just up, and we're like, oh, cool.
I think too, like you said, it was July, so it was hot.
Oh yeah.
I think we also started late. Was that not like an afternoon hike?
It was an afternoon hike.
So
Yeah.
I think that played a role. I think there was other factors too that I just wasn't at the time able to bring together to figure out why I'm feeling this way. And like you said, it was stronger people who showed up to it where I was not at that point. So like take a group of hard people doing an easy to moderate hike. That changes now the easy to moderate hike to a hard hike. So that was the time I truly felt I could not keep up. And I was like, I just gotta finish this hike, get back to my car, drive away, and never see them again.
Whoa!
Liars.
I didn't have heart rate things at that time, like, but I feel like my heart rate was through the roof. And I was just like, this is not fun. Why am I here? Why am I doing this? I don't have to be doing this. And yeah, that was like a big...
Huh. That's interesting,
moment.
because what happened between that day and August 23rd, 2020? So like almost a year later, now you're doing Breakneck Quad on a 100-degree day, going up and down Breakneck 4 times, 10 miles and 4,700 feet. What changed in between that, where Ramapo Torn was difficult and then all of a sudden Breakneck Quad was achievable?
I guess here would be my question for you, because you can pull out this research.
What do we got?
When was my actual next hike with you guys? I literally was thinking like I can't hang out with them anymore.
This was going to be after Ramapo Torn?
Yeah, so I'm curious to know when
I
I
can see
actually
that.
came back out. This is like just when you guys started
Yeah.
going to the Catskills.
Right.
Not even like I think maybe you did one Adirondack trip. But this was
Right.
even when you guys were still just breaking into the Catskills, and I knew I was not invited to them. I also didn't want to be invited at that point because I knew I couldn't handle it. But then I remember just working harder. It might have been running. Again, not like the kind of running I'm doing now, but more like road running just to get more fitness. And that was my goal. I wanted to be invited to those harder hikes. Not necessarily like the Beacon Bullies, those yet, but like the Catskills. I've seen pictures. I've been to the Catskills, but not like in the mountains in the Catskills. So like I wanted to do those. And I remember my first actual, I don't know if I should say this story. We might end up cutting this out.
Okay,
My
that's
first
great.
ever Catskills hike was with a date from Bumble. Never met him.
It's an intense date.
Our first hike, like I just told him like I
Was
was.
this your first time meeting him?
I met him at Overlook. He lived kind of like near Kingston, and he was familiar with the Catskills, and like I knew I wasn't going with you guys because I wouldn't be able to keep up. I want to go to the Catskills. This guy knows the Catskills. Like,
Yeah, I bet he does.
let me plan this. That was our first time meeting Overlook. He's like, it's just up. Like you just go up, and I mean I've hiked before, and I actually saw two trail runners. They were like looking at each other. They synchronized their watch, and they just took off. And I looked at him and was like, what the fuck is this? Like, and then we hiked up, and I was huffing and puffing, and I was like, wow, there's no flat parts. And that was my first ever Catskills hike.
When was that? Vanessa's next hike after July 2019 was actually September 7th, 2019. Where were we? Oh, Pop Torn.
Okay, so my first hike in the Catskills was November 3rd, 2019.
I was like, that's a good time to see those leaves too.
So
Okay.
that one wasn't even, that one's not even a 30.
It's not a 30
Yeah,
hour,
so
no.
that was my first hike up there, and I risked it going with a stranger again. Just
Kind of a shorter hike.
So when I truly started going alone, it was like the pandemic because there was no option.
Yeah.
So I remember like reaching out to people and asking like, what are good trails to do alone, or what's easy to follow, or like even I think my first true trail run was the Sterling Loop.
Okay.
Like small 400-foot climb around a lake, a jeep trail kind of thing.
And that was
You know.
early pandemic?
Yeah. And then I did do a lot of the hikes that we've done together. So like even though I didn't know how to truly navigate, so like Storm King, I know I've done with you guys before a few times. So I was like, that's one I feel confident doing on my own. I think there were some other ones in Harriman. Yeah, so I was only doing things I knew until like I truly learned how to navigate. And I remember actually my first time being alone in Northern Green, my first time where I truly got like lost. I was like circling around trying to get back, and that was like a little scary, but then
We always talk about Northern Green. It
Ever.
seems like a
And
seems like a
it
race.
it's like the trail markers. There's so many different
Colors.
ones.
I
You
agree.
get lost in there.
So you go on a bunch of easy and moderate hikes in the summer of 2020, basically.
yeah.
And I felt like you came in with a new confidence. Or you were talking about Breakneck Quad, doing one or two, and we were probably trying to talk you into doing all four. When did you decide that you wanted to do even some of Breakneck Quad?
So I've done Breakneck before meeting you guys,
Mhm.
and that was definitely a memorable experience.
I like this. I love this.
So here's our friend Spence, who gives us our journaling prompts.
Mm-hmm.
He inspired me to do one so with the Breakneck Marathon coming up, and I was like, why am I doing this? Like, what's my reason here? Like, for those of you who don't know, it's a huge trail race. I'm not going to win. There's 0% chance I'm going to win. There's people coming. No, like.
I don't know about
I
that.
think-
But go ahead. Go ahead.
No,
continue.
it's a national race. Like, the top winners go to run in Austria. I'm running this race for me. So I wanted to, like, really think of, like, why am I doing Breakneck when there's other marathons out there? That had me reflecting back to all my times, my many, many, many times up Breakneck.
Mhm.
So my first time ever was October 15th, 2015.
Wow.
So I was 25. So that was with my ex at the time, and we used to do like Anthony's Nose, Storm King, Popple Open Torn, like not just the torn, but the full like 5 miler.
Yep.
And I remember we used to use this blog. A guy and his kids used to hike, so he would rank them. And my boyfriend at the time was like, let's do Breakneck. And it's like rated 10, extreme, hard, scrambling. We didn't even know what scrambling was. We had to Google it. And he's like, basically it's like rock climbing. I'm like, that sounds awful. But somehow he convinced me to go. And that's the first time I hiked it. And getting up to the flag probably took hours. Like, I'm not even kidding. There was times where he'd have to come back down and like push me up. And then I got to the flag and I do kind of remember thinking like, wow, we did it. And then took in the view for a moment, but then realized we were not done.
There's a lot of places to take breaks on Breakneck.
Yeah. And again, at that time, I didn't know, looking at a trail out, how much more we had. I just turned around and saw that the only way down was either to go straight back down, because those stairs, the Nibham Trail did not exist yet. So it was either go back down what we just spent like 3 hours coming up, or keep going up and finishing this. And I just remember like being in a miserable mindset after I saw that there was more. And then later that night, at home, laying on the couch, all my leg muscles, I felt them twitching and pulsing. And it was like the hardest thing I've ever done. And then I don't think I've hiked it again until with you guys at some point. I don't remember.
You did hike with us, I think, before Breakneck quad.
Yeah, I think
like,
we've done a one.
Maybe with Brittany and Lauren. Or...
We did it once, like though, nothing crazy. So my first multiple times was the quad. And
100 degrees.
Yeah, and like you say, you know, come out for one, join us, and I was like, well, let me go out for the first one. It makes sense because I know the exact time it's starting because I panic with parking and meeting up with people. So I was like, let me just do the first one and then I'll bail. And we did the first one, and I was like, I think it was about halfway through. I knew we were at the top and we were descending, and I was like, maybe I could do a second one. Let me not say it out loud yet.
Mm-hmm.
And then we finished, and I was like, I could do another one. And then we did another one. And then that's when I was like, can I do a third one?
That's where we probably started
and
hyping
then
you
I
up
think
too.
You guys, yes, I think it was a lot of you guys pushing me, a lot of you guys encouraging me, and I was like probably giving into it, the peer pressure. And then I did it. And then, like you said, I think Lauren left for that one.
Yeah,
She left for the third one, yeah.
For the third one, yeah.
Yep. She left for the third one, and then
That's
she
right,
came
that's
back for
right,
the
that's
last
right,
one. And I remember Brittany in the meantime being like, ah, well, Vanessa's staying, so I'm going to stay.
Yeah.
I do remember that happening.
And then that's where I was like, if I just stay and do one more, like, then I did it. I did 3 of them, why not just do, and the last one was what, up and down,
Up and
right?
down, yep.
So
Then you had to go down.
I was nervous about that too. I was like, Breakneck is a hard scramble. I can't actually imagine going down this. So I was nervous about that, but then we did it. And I was like shocked. I kind of secretly thought I could do 2, but I never thought that day I would be doing 4. And that kind of blew my mind. And that is where, like, I think there was another shift where I realized it was my mindset that was like holding me back at that point. That's where I learned, like, you can do hard things, you just have to push through it. And I think it also helped knowing I wasn't actually planning on doing all 4, like, just worry about the one that you're about to do, and then get it done, and then the next one. So I think that also helped in thinking about it, is not thinking like, all right, I'm gonna do 4 breaknecks, I'm gonna do 1, and then, like, focus on the next one, and then eventually you have 4 done.
The Breakneck quad, though, that really was like, I only wanted to do like a little bit, you know, because I just, you know, at that point I was just a celebrity guest appearance. So when Vanessa was doing it, she was like really didn't want to do the lot, like she only wanted to do like 1 or 2, and then she didn't want to go down.
Yes.
I remember.
That's right.
And then I was like, okay, I did 3, I did my thing, and then she's like, you're gonna leave, because I know Lauren was also leaving, and she's like, oh, I don't want to do it with them by myself, and I'm like, now I gotta do it again, and I'm like, wow.
I mean, my first hike with you guys, Vanessa was there, and I remember once COVID hit, there was a little hiatus from people in and out, but then once I finally hiked with her again, oh my god, like she was going past me, and I was just like, hell yeah, I mean, damn, like, it honestly, like, blew me away. I'm like, wow. I mean, she came so far, now she's doing marathons, and I'm like, I won't even touch a marathon, like, forget about it. So, yes.
Yes.
She might confirm
Yes.
me, but I climb, I don't run. I don't know, maybe I'll change.
Except for the half marathon that we're gonna do together.
Apparently
that we-
doing a half
yeah.
marathon, I don't know, we'll check on that, but yeah. It's
You already
awesome.
said yes, but anyway.
And you were invited to the Adirondacks. That was like, I was going to ask what were your next goals, but you already said earlier, you just wanted to be invited to the Adirondacks.
I did, yeah. Once I saw what the Catskills had to offer, I knew the Adirondacks would be the next step up.
Then you camped with us. We had
We
a pretty
did,
rough campsite.
Yes.
And then we went to Giant Mountain.
I borrowed my brother's tent, and I had to practice setting it up in my parents' backyard, because I've never set up a tent by myself.
Was that your first camping
and I
trip?
didn't wanna, I mean, my first, like, not solo, but, like, not with my parents and I. We used to go camping as kids, and we had, like, one of those really big tents where it was, like, a picnic table on the inside, and then we had 2 separate rooms, like, a huge, like,
Very nice.
Oh, I like that.
That sounds good.
Tent. But this was, like, my first time going camping where, like, I'm bringing my tent, I have to set it up, I'm responsible for that.
That's smart.
I have to interject on
That's
that, too, because Giant Mountain, that was also where Mel went on her first camping trip with us. And
session.
Mel basically brought a pop-up circus tent.
Well, it was
That was
Lauren's
like,
tent.
that was too big for the...
It's the tent you would find at like a street market or something. People selling things out of it. It was that big.
Anyway, I just wanted to throw that in. It seems like a Giant Mountain thing.
We'll get into that.
We'll get into that another time.
A different session.
So, I think it was at the Adirondacks when you might have mentioned you wanted to do Suffern Bear Mountain Trail.
Yeah.
And I remember you mentioning it and being like, yeah. And you jumped in and did Northern Green Tour, which was 13 miles and 3,000 feet.
Yep.
And you did that, and did that have any significance to building up to the Suffern Bear Mountain Trail?
I mean,
Almost double the mileage.
I remember being on the Northern Green tour that day and thinking, like, this is our warm-up. We're just getting ready for this SBM Suffern Bear Mountain Trail, using that as the warm-up to get us ready.
Now it's November 5th, 2020, and I'm sleeping on the couch 2 hours late to start the Suffern Bear Mountain Trail.
In my notes, next to SBM Trail, I said, you still owe me an hour of time.
And so, yeah, that was my fault. So we start 2 hours late.
Yep. And also, don't forget, we needed the car drop, too. So it wasn't just starting the hike late. I was at Bear Mountain, which is the ending point. And then we were going to drive over to Suffern to start it. So I couldn't even, like, start and let you guys catch up. I had to wait at Bear Mountain.
That's probably why that bird shit on my head later on that day.
About that,
Yeah. 22.3 miles and 5,000 feet. That was your biggest hike at the time?
Yep. That was definitely distance PR for that time. Maybe even vert.
May have been.
Because what's 4 breaknecks?
4 breaknecks, I could tell you what 4 breaknecks is, 4,700 feet.
So yeah, that was probably a vert PR too.
How did you feel after that?
I felt good. I was really nervous going into that, I remember, because I remember looking at the elevation profile and like how many climbs there were, and that definitely intimidated me, because at that point I understood how to read a map and look at the elevation climbs and realize like, oh, that's a hard one. So I was really nervous about that one, but I mean, we finished. I felt great. I did run out of water about 2-3 miles. Remember where it got dark because we started 2 hours late.
I wonder why.
I think that was my last sip of water.
So you were thirsty when the coyotes were chasing us, because there were coyotes chasing us from all angles at the end there. I remember that.
Yikes.
I remember I picked up a stick. And I was also looking for the trail markers.
Yes, so you turned around and I didn't know you were talking about trail markers, and you were like, there's one right behind Vanessa. And I froze thinking we're still talking about coyotes. And I'm like, they're super calm that there's a coyote behind me.
It was behind you, not me.
Why is it a stick or something? And you were talking about the trail marker.
Yes, I was. Anyways, it's now April 2021. This is where I stalked your Strava. Your first self-supported marathon on April 20th, 2021,
Yeah,
where you ran 26 miles in 3 hours.
Ooh,
3-something.
3 hours and 42 minutes.
Yeah.
That's
very impressive.
So that was on spring break. I went to Rockland Lake. That's kind of where my running journey started, at Rockland Lake, the 3-mile loop. And I did not anticipate doing a marathon that day.
How'd you wind up doing a marathon that day?
I kept doing loops. So I think at that point I ran with like a handheld water bottle. I had snacks and everything in my car. Like every 2 loops, I would stop at the car, eat something, refill the water, and then just go out for another loop or 2. And then I think I got to 18 or somewhere around there, and I was like, let me just keep going. And then it got to the point where I was like, I'm probably not going to get that close to a marathon any other time soon, so why don't I push through? And then I remember at that point I was stopping every loop, and I was definitely struggling struggling those last few. And that was the first time I had those really heavy, dead legs, like even more than like SBM. Like I don't remember having that feeling. That was a real like lead leg feeling. Let me push through. I'm like, I'm this close. Let me just do it. And somehow I did it.
You seem pretty happy on your Strava.
But yeah, that was not planned. And it was at that point, let me just do it.
And 6 days later, you do Breakneck 4 times.
Really? That was nice.
That was 6 days later. You were doing bigger hikes and doing more stuff like that. And then on November 6th, we go to do the Escarpment Trail, which another thing you asked for. But it was a good day. I felt like we killed that one.
Yeah.
It was at 24 miles and 5,300 feet.
The weather was perfect. The trail was perfect. That was a good day.
At this point, when was that? November 2021, where it's like Vanessa could probably take on any of these hikes. No question about it at that point. So now I'm going to jump ahead, February 26, 2022, and we're ready to do Pop 10, and me and you are the only two.
We're ready to do it.
We're ready to do it.
I am very familiar with this day.
Pop-a-lopping 10 times, but there's a lot of ice, and I think we had one pair of spikes.
You brought spikes. I brought like the nano spikes.
So we had one pair of nano spikes, one pair of spikes.
So what happened was it snowed previously and then rained the night before and then froze.
Yeah,
So I guess in our minds we
Thick
were
ice.
thinking like, there's only an inch of snow maybe. We don't need spikes. We'll just drop right through that inch. But it was frozen solid. So we made it up 0.2.
Point 2. I love the little video of us
And
getting stuck at that one little spot.
Yes, I still made the relive of it, and you see this little dot bouncing up and down side to side. I remember thinking, like, even if we make it up this one spot, what's the game plan of my first DNF?
Yeah, we were pretty disappointed that day. We went and we cursed out Pop Torn from Bear Mountain.
And we drove over to Bear Mountain, and we found a little spot where you could see Pop Torn that looks like a tiny little pimple, tiny small little thing, and we flipped it off.
We flipped it off. And the reason that's important is because a few weeks later, when we came back with a vengeance and did Pop 10,
Oh, yeah.
which is one of the best hikes of the year.
You're right, that 100%, I think it was part of the vengeance in it.
Definitely part of the vengeance.
Also the fact that the temperature read 27 degrees, but it was 62 degrees.
That's
Remember?
right, that's right. Yeah,
For
so
some
weird.
reason it felt super warm.
It was very comfortable.
And we just had a great group, and we were banging them out. We had the whiteboard there.
We had the
tallying
whiteboard
them
there.
up. That was a really good day. We finished by like 2 o'clock.
We did.
Ridiculously early.
We got into our finishing early phase here, where we would finish a lot earlier than expected, because then we were on a roll. A few weeks later, we did Beacon Bully, and now you're doing Breakneck 6 times, April 16th, 2022, Breakneck 6,
Yep.
13.87 miles and 62.92 feet. So you're on a roll, and then it's September 24th, 2022, and you compete in your first competitive race, is that right? Delaware Water Gap 50K?
So that's not I actually did one in August. It was a last minute decision. I wanted to experience racing. I did a 17-miler in Stoke State Forest.
Oh, I love that place.
With the
Yeah,
Sasquatch
We've been there one.
Trail Runners. Did not know. I came in second place female until like a week or so later when I got a medal in the mail. But yeah, I ended up getting second place female. That was 17 miles. I remember it being super hot. That was my first one. And then Delaware Water Gap. That was my second race.
Second place female.
Also second place female. Didn't expect that.
31 miles, so 31 miles and 1,300 feet in 5 hours and 12 minutes.
Yeah, so it was
31
flat.
miles.
It like I always kind of say like, yes, I've run an ultra with a little asterisk. It was flat. But the challenge in that was I actually did run the entire thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I did not walk during that one. That was a challenge in itself. In the Breakneck Marathon, there's gonna be some power hiking those hills.
sure.
But I ran that 31 miles. It was hard. So I've run the marathon before that, the flat marathon at Rockland Lake. I remember during the Delaware Water Gap one, and when I got to mile 28, I looked at my watch, it buzzed, I was like 28 miles. All right, you have to finish this, like literally to get back to your car, you have to finish this. And then you never have to do this again. You never have to run this long of a distance again in your life. I
That's
remember having that conversation with myself. When I'm in these moments, it's weird. I talk to myself, like, I use my name, Vanessa, you just have to finish this. You just have to get through this. And like, it's almost like I'm talking to someone else whose name is Vanessa, and I'm just trying to encourage them. But I remember that moment, and then here I am.
Here you are.
Signed up for another 26 miler
It's like crazy.
with 8,000 feet of
Yeah,
gain.
when you're in the moment of something that's not like, really harsh, not only mentally but physically, I feel like you really do have to talk yourself in to keep going. Like, you never have to do this again, just keep going.
Yeah.
I've been saying something repeatedly for a very long time that may be taken as a joke, but
Everyone thought it was a work.
everyone thought it was a work, but it's a shoot,
Nah, that's right.
right?
It is.
It's a shoot. So, this is not by any means a joke, but you may take it as a joke.
Oh, here we go.
For all your efforts and all the stuff we just discussed, that we have are
I feel like this should have come after the marathon.
being in the marathon,
Wearing
championship
this?
material.
Listen, I mean, no one could take you down, not even Stone Cold, and he had a really hot run. Okay?
I
Okay?
still have no clue, but I'm a
This is your belt. You are the 2022-2023 champion. June to June, we'll say. Now, yeah, you thought I was kidding, but that is your belt. You are the proactive champion going into the Breakneck Marathon.
It's heavy.
And you know what?
It is.
It's not like I gave it to somebody who doesn't deserve it, so
This is insane.
it's insane, I know. But
No pressure.
honestly though, you truly deserve to be our champion going into the marathon, and you can leave with a medal that you can then hang under that belt at
There
some
you go.
point. And then, so yeah, I just wanted to present that to you for all your hard work and your effort.
Thank you.
Defend it.
You
I gotta be more careful about what I say now.
Now
These
you
things
know.
come to fruition.
They always
All
come
right.
Things do come to fruition, and yeah.
Because, I'm not gonna lie, I know one time we joked about doing breakneck blindfolded. You only have to do it once. That was our catch. You only have to do it once.
I love it. Breakneck blindfold.
Oh, that's like legitimate liability right there.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh, there was waivers.
They're all,
I'm sure there were.
guys, everyone's a 1099 over here.
Vanessa, word association. Hiking.
Exercise.
Food.
Fuel.
Breakneck.
Marathon.
Running.
Marathon.
Mount Phelps.
Ooh, icy.
SBM.
Accomplished.
Brownies.
Delicious.
Challenges.
Overcoming.
Pendleton.
Todd! Got some emotion in that one.
So, we got kicked off the mountain by the military. We were supposed to be hiking up Pop Torn from morning to night.
So we still need to reschedule that one, though.
We still do need to
I still need
reschedule
a
that
I
one.
haven't been to
Sun Pop, yeah, that's right.
I want to do some pop. Now I have it scheduled for fall, tentatively. So instead of going up Pop Torn all day, we do Pop Torn 3 times, go to Bear Mountain, go to Anthony's Nose, go to Breakneck twice, and then go to Beacon to finish the day to see the sun and the moon at the same time before eating pizza.
Oh, yeah.
Is there anything we need to add to that? Darth Vader guy on the trail?
You're missing
No.
a really important factor.
What's the
Oh,
important
Brittany
factor?
did meet us for Beacon.
Yeah.
Waited at the fire tower
With
for
the wind
us.
blowing me off, very cold. I had to, yeah.
That might
Thank
be the
you,
most
Vanessa.
important one, because you were the guest star that day.
I know. I'm always usually.
And then you
guessing.
left before the moon. The moon was the guest star.
Breakneck 7 then is December 11th, 2022, and that's 18.8 miles and 7,900 feet. We finished that in 6 hours and 47 minutes. The marathon is the same amount of elevation almost, with multiple more miles, so I just think that bodes well for your goals. But I think that's when you might have mentioned doing the marathon the first time to me, or
So I looked back in my emails. I registered on December 25th. So yes,
So
it
this
was
definitely
definitely on my
expired.
radar by December 11th. Thinking about it. I'm not quick to jump on things. I sit on things and think about things for a while. So definitely that was something I was thinking about, and I bit the bullet, committed on Christmas Day.
it's a good day to do it. What are your goals for the marathon?
I do have a time in mind, coming off of some training runs on the course. So I'm looking to finish in 6 hours and 30 minutes, based on how I've done in the training ones, trying to project on race day, different adrenaline, different environment, all the people, the excitement, and having that time that will then qualify me to enter more trail races.
Yes.
Because I'm sure at some point in Breakneck I will be saying, don't ever do this again, Vanessa. But we know that's not true. So I would like to do some Catskill trail racing in the near future. And I need this time to allow me to register for those future ones. So finish, and if I can, finish in 6 hours and 30 minutes.
I think you could definitely do that. And what was your, have you gotten any good advice for the marathon?
So much. Honestly, that's been the best part about running with other people, and specifically running with people that will be running this marathon as well. Again, it's a race, so you think competition, competition, competition. There's not. Everyone wants everyone to succeed and do well and do their best. I am great at bothering people to get advice, get technique. I've recently changed up my nutrition based on advice from someone. What to do when I don't feel like running, and how to walk and pace my walk to get back on running I've gotten advice on. Not going out too hard at the beginning.
So you're taking a lot of advice.
A lot. I'm open to more.
It looks like you've been training pretty hard, though. I see on your Strava you have 26 crowns. You have 161 segments in which you're in the top 10.
I don't even know all this.
Yeah.
Find it out.
Year to date, 91 runs, 647 miles, and 111,906 feet.
Oh, wow.
And you've been doing countless double-digit runs just on a regular basis, all with good times. I think you're going to do really well. What shoes will you be wearing?
My Hoka Speed Goat 5s. That's what I've been wearing, training in, so it just makes sense to wear them on race day.
Do you wear them when you hike too, or no?
Yep.
Yeah.
I haven't worn an actual hiking boot, like above the ankle, since like at least 2020.
Oh wow.
Unless the Adirondacks and like in the winter, I wear the boots.
Do you have anything else you want to say before we wrap it up here?
I mean, I'm excited, I'm nervous. I've sweat so much on Breakneck Beak and all that area. I actually took a fall in one of my training runs on coming down Breakneck. I got a bloody knee on that.
Literally blood, sweat, and tears.
And that's
Seriously,
what-
right?
Saturday's gonna be the cheers. If they're happy tears, I'm hoping they're happy tears and not sad tears. I've given it my blood and sweat, and now it's just time to roll.
I can't wait for the results.
Yeah,
So
me
I
neither.
get to see like what it feels like for you.
Thank you, Vanessa. Good luck, and I can't wait to talk to you post-marathon. All right. Check us out on social media at ProactiveAHW and on the website at www.proactiveahw.com. For all of us, see you next time.
Episode 1 done.
Episode 1 is done.